This is the Beyond the Headlines segment. My name is Roslyn Felly. The country's railway sector has been under little development since the year 1957. However, the government is definitely going to do something about it. He's been talking about it. He's actually cut a sword, a 500 million euros sword that has been cut for a new railway system to commence. But then we have a feature that was done or put together by our very own Jojo Kobina. Let's watch this, and when we come back, we talk more about our railway sector.
There are several things that went wrong in our country after we got independence. But one of the worst was the way we allowed our railway infrastructure to deteriorate. Ghana, we are going to have a first-class railway system. The little I can do to strengthen you and make it possible for you to do your work, count on me. We're going to do it.
This promise brought hope to many who witnessed the gradual collapse of the once vibrant Ghana Railway Company Limited. The construction of the company started in 1898 in Sekondi, and the rail lines reached Kumasi in 1903. Ghana had rail lines that connected places where the British colonial authorities thought would be most profitable and practical for moving raw materials. From the hinterlands to the Takoradi Harbour, trains brought raw materials including timber, bauxite, manganese and cocoa. They also carried traders, government employees, students and other groups who were needed for the advancement of the country.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing the whole affairs.
Many years after Ghana's independence, the railway infrastructure witnessed little maintenance to no maintenance and subsequently ruins. In 2016, Sekondi to Kojo line was repaired by the NDC government, but they were kicked out of power. The NPP government was poised to revive the industry.
It's obvious that rail transport is environmentally friendly, it is efficient, it is less costly, and is generally a more intelligent way of moving people and goods than any other form of transport.
Opariado is a retired Ghana Railway Company worker. He is so attached to his company that even after more than a decade of retirement, he still visits the Nsawam train station to reflect on the company's state of affairs.
To me, if Niana me woman and I send a see a Jumano, and any need a Jumana say, no boy, a one Sawamuga, a coba, Cobanti, a Kuafu, a Dende, a Gwedi Fu, Nebua Wina, and Nia, a Jumana say, Ama, Sisi, and Kui. Nia Ebubu Makumane say, Treno in Yajumabi.
The Nsawam railway station now lies near ruin and ends abruptly after the main Nsawam road. Due to many years of neglect of the rail tracks, thieves have stolen the lines and sold them as scraps.
From these railways crossing up to Chichamante, the risks are nowhere to be found. And now the place where they have to put the railway lines, people are putting up their buildings over there.
It could be recalled that the then managing director of the Ghana Railway Company Limited, John Esel, promised that the Accra to Nsawam line would start operations.
No, we have completed the test run. The test run is over. I did that 3 months ago. Today I wanted you to have a few. That is why I brought you. Otherwise I've completed the test run.
So when is it going to start full operation?
I will give myself up to beginning of September. Maybe 1st September.
because I have to do an adjustment here and there. I have to see how I'm going to run the Tema train vis-a-vis the home train. So that will take me about 2 weeks to start.
But due to unsafe lines, the service was terminated. The Accra to Tema train service also started in 2019. The former railway minister, Joe Gatti, joined the team to test the rail lines. It was also cancelled due to safety reasons. The Sekendi to Takrady line is currently the only one that transports passengers. Ghana Railways also ran a test on the Kojokrom to Takwa line, but also cancelled the service due to a derailing accident. The railway station is in a deplorable state, a pale shadow of its former self. The diesel multiple unit, which connects the coaches, appears to be broken. Squatters have made the area useful by resting there. Some sleep under the coaches.
Before the system fail, before the system fail, before the system fail.
The rail lines have also become dry lines for second-hand clothing dealers. Like the clock tower, which no longer tells the time, the government of Ghana cannot tell when the trains will run from Accra to Nsawam. Yao Wusu is the CEO of the Ghana Railway Development Authority.
What I'll tell the people who are yearning to use the line is the fact that we want to make sure we get it right. We want to minimize any risk of potential derailment or safety. All right, so as a matter of fact, we do have plans. Those lines as they exist now, those are the old narrow gauge. We have plans to develop new standard gauge. That may take a little bit longer time. I can't put any timeline. To be honest with you, I cannot put any timeline. I'll be deceiving you if I put any timeline on there, but we are fervently working on it. We want to get the lines running. I know everybody is looking forward to the railway lines running.
The Tema to Mpakadan rail line is perhaps the sector's most visible achievement. Mr. Yaowusu promised in April 2021 that 2 diesel multiple units will be purchased by November 2021 to transport passengers from Tema to Mpakadan.
The Ministry of Finance has approved the purchase of 2 DMUs, which is diesel multiple units, to transport passengers from Tema to Mpakadan. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when are they likely to enter into the country?
Most likely before the completion of this project in November, before November.
That promise has not materialized yet.
Those 2 DMUs are still, it takes about 18 months really to order a new DMU. So what we've decided to do is to go for a refurbished one, which we are planning to have probably in the next couple of months, hopefully by the end of 2022.
Page 24 of the 2016 NPP manifesto clearly spells out government's plan to revive the rail sector.
Completely overhauling the western and eastern lines to facilitate the haulage of bauxite, manganese, cocoa, cement, iron ore and other bulk commodities, as well as the transportation of people. The rehabilitation of the eastern line in particular will also facilitate the operation of the Bonkra Inland Port, which has been rendered inoperable as a result of the non-functioning of the line. Developing an integrated light rail transit system for our major cities to connect main business districts with outlying residential locations, extending the Eastern Rail Line from Kumasi to Paga to create an Accra-Kumasi-Paga connection to facilitate haulage of goods from and to the north, and the exploitation of iron ore and other mineral reserves in the north. Building a Tema-Akonsombo rail link to tie in with a vibrant and revived Volta Lake transportation system to provide a major avenue for expanded transportation and the resulting economic activity.
Many Ghanaians are waiting with bated breath for a modernized railway system as promised by President Akufo-Addo.
Before the system fail.
It's quite sad to see the state of our railway system. And this documentary is put together by Joy News editor, who is Jojo Kobina. And thank you very much for this. I want to read some facts to you out there. The initial operational rail line of 947 kilometers in 1960 has dropped to 160 kilometers in 2020 because of neglect and underfunding over the years. Wow. From 947 kilometers to 160 kilometers. Yes, we've lost over 700 kilometers. Also, among 6 countries, Ghana showed the highest decline in effectiveness of available rail line, that's a 16.9% in 2020, experienced substantial decrease in freight volumes transported and accessibility to railway services. That's at 0.6% in 2020, tells the awful state of the sector. And we actually have a sector. Well, the government has cut a sword for a 500 million euros rail line. Hopefully, it's going to, commence soon, so we can have very good rail system. Now, when we talk about this rail system, if you've been abroad or you've been to the western part of the world, you realize that they actually do use very quality rail system, and that's what everybody lives by, because it's an easier means to transport. If you're commuting to a very far distance, let's roughly say you live in Kumasi and you have a job in Accra, it can take you probably just about 30 minutes or 45 minutes to come to Accra, come get your job done and go back. So we don't have limitations in the country. So you don't say, because I live in Kumasi, I need to work only in Kumasi. It's easier for you to live in Accra and work in Kumasi, or work in Cape Coast, or work in Takoradi. You wake up in the morning, you just catch the train, go to work, come back. And that's it. So everybody can work. I mean, back in the UK, I know people who live in London and work outside London. It's just like living in Accra and working, so you live in London and you're working in Basildon, or you are living in Basildon and you're working in maybe Manchester. It's quite easy. All you need to do is to catch the train and go to work and come back. So there's no limitation. But in our part of the world, there is a limitation because our rail systems are so bad. I mean, from 1957 to now, that's how bad it is. I have Jojo on the line. Hello, good morning, Jojo.
Hello, good morning, Rosalind.
How are you this morning?
I'm great this morning. You?
I'm fine, thank you, Jojo. Now, we've watched your documentary, which is a fantastic one. But as you went out there to do this documentary, tell us what you saw.
Well, okay, so the railway story is a personal one. And the reason why I say it's a personal one is because my father used to work at the Ghana Railway Corporation.
Right.
I remember I used to go on the lines, the Western line from Accra to Takoradi. I remember very well. I remember we would travel all the way to Nsawam, go to ride, be in Takoradi second day, and we would think. And it was fun. I mean, around that time, and I mean, eventually when the railway business started collapsing gradually, I heard him naga until he died, and he was very passionate about it. And I sat down and I looked at the promises that our politicians have given us, especially, this very government, because the intention they have was great. I mean, when you read the manifesto, page 24 of the 2016 manifesto, they outline how they're going to do it. Light rails will be moving, and then, there will be a very strong connection. And then with the Impakadan line moving all the way from the port to cross the Volta River, and then eventually there's a ferry across, and then it gets all the way to Paga. It was such a brilliant idea, a master plan. And I was really hoping, in fact, I was one of the people who really prayed that the railway sector would work. Eventually, people can live in many other regions and then quickly commute to the city center to work. But unfortunately, the promise has not been fulfilled to the expectation of the people. And so that is the main reason why I went there. And at the main Accra station, that place was very depressing because you had railway workers who, used to be very active, no longer working, and they were just sitting down, waiting. And then in my engagement with them, they tell, well, we are waiting for the lines to work. The Railway Development Authority is working on the lines, and so we are waiting.
Jojo, let me ask you this before you continue. Now, these people who are waiting for the rail lines to be activated, are they being paid?
I think that, yes, they are being paid. They're being paid.
For doing nothing?
Yes, because we have allowed the system to run down, and there's so many lives depending on the railway, Ghana Railway Company. And so if we activate, if government had activated and told itself that, okay, what we can do is to make sure that we activate the Accra-Tema line, we activate Accra in Sawam. You can imagine the relief that it will bring to people. We understand that government is doing other areas, but that is a new line. This is an old line that you can easily repair, can easily move on and then change it from that narrow gauge into a standard gauge.
Right. What's the state of the Accra-Tema line as of now? Because I know in 2009 it was working.
Well, there was a derailment, and then government said it's unsafe. And I mean, it's unsafe. It is a line that should be worked on so that, I mean, people can commute. But as it stands now, even the Ghana Railway Development Authority cannot tell when the line will be repaired. I engaged the chief executive officer, and he told me that, well, if he tells me, I mean, he puts a timeline, he's not sure it may be met, and so he doesn't want to put any timeline. So many people are anxiously waiting for the rail lines to work, but unfortunately, even authorities who are in charge of the system cannot even give us a timeline.
Jojo, I mean, a place or a rail like the Accra-Tema line is not in operation, but we have the government cutting a sword. That's a 500 million euro sword. Yesterday I saw in the newspapers for a new line to happen. Why are they not fixing the old ones, but they want to do a new line and the old ones will stay and rot?
This is a question for the gods. I think the government will be in a better position to answer this question. But I remember Jogasi once said that, well, his strategy is to make sure that he would keep the old lines working while he builds new ones. But Jogasi left. We don't know the plan for this very new ministry, the new minister, what his plan is. And I mean, even when you engage in them, I mean, they give assurances of things to happen and they do not happen. And I remember last year in April, the Ghana Railway Development Authority boss was asked, oh, when are you going to bring the DMUs? They are there to link the code so that the thing will work. He said, oh, November 2021, by November, oh, everything will, the DMUs will come. I engaged him again, and he said, well, their procurement process, it will take 18 months, and then he's saying, okay, well, hopefully by December this year, it will happen. So we have timelines always shifting, and people yearning to use the railway, but governments cannot tell us exactly when it will happen.
What are the challenges the government is facing?
I think it is largely financial, because I mean, if we have the money, Jogase said that around that time, that is in 2017, that the government needed about $7 billion to completely revive the railway sector. But where is the $7 billion to make sure that the lines work?
To even renovate the old ones to get them back on the rails? We need $7 billion?
Yes, he said, oh, well, to have a complete system. That was what he said. He said for the country to have a complete system, about $7 billion is needed to ensure that we have a complete system. And it is largely financial. But it would be a very wise decision if the government can even plan and phase it out in such a way that we benefit from the railway while they expand. And what is exciting about this, I remember when I visited the Ajen Kozuku line, there was the platform, the railway platform, was commissioned by one of the governors, and it was in 1953. And you could see that they pulled resources, and then they pushed it. They made sure that the thing was being done. And around the colonial government, if you look at their budget, they made sure that 30% of their budget was directed into railway development because they knew what they were getting. They knew that they were getting the raw materials. They knew that they were getting the gold. They were getting all these resources. We know that when we build the roads, the rail sector, it would open up the country. People will live. I mean, people will not be fighting and buying prime lands in Accra so that they would live here, and then Accra will be choked. People, food. If you look at cost of transportation of foodstuff, people are saying, oh well, transportation is so much, and so because of that, they are increasing the price of foodstuff. If we invest in railway, imagine all the farmers going back to the system, to the old system, where foodstuff are brought in cargoes at the train station, and then quickly carted to the market for sale. You can imagine how the price of foodstuff, how much it's all.
Jojo, I agree with you 100%. I mean, in 2009, a colleague of mine used to, commute to work with the rail from Tema to Accra, and he was paying only 1 Ghana cedi. 1 Ghana cedi. So it's true. Yes. People will stop complaining about transportation fares. The food prices will definitely drop because when you're using the rail system, it's a bit cheaper.
Yes, it is. It is a very cheaper form of transport. And I interacted with the people in Sawam, and they told me, well, when they're coming to Accra, at least 3 cities, 4 cities to Accra, they can, or even 5 cities, rail system, they will get to Accra. Now they have to pay 11 cities. 11 cities. So the young man was telling me that is how they feel. And one very disheartening, development at the Sawam station is the shutdown of all the silos. Because I remember those times, they used to bring foodstuff, they used to bring cocoa, many other into warehouses and silos at the in Sawam railway platform. But now they've all shut down, and we are using them for churches. Churches have rented them, and people are worshipping in them. So it looks like the colonial government had a master plan. They had the vision. You could clearly see where they're going. But we say we have a master plan, but we are not pulling the resources. We are not putting the resources where they should be. And at the end of the day, we keep recycling these things. When I was doing this research, I watched a video on Accra redevelopment, and I remember the senior minister, Yawosop Mafo, was saying that they wanted to redesign Accra. They were going to have light rails. Imagine we having light rails moving in from Kaswa to the city center, and also moving from Tema to the city center. People would not even struggle. I mean, because when you hear the utterances of the politicians themselves, they seem to know that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But they don't do it, and that is the problem. They do not do it. Because now the president is has cut the sword for construction of that one. Is going to take like 4 years for it to be done. Why can't we quickly do the city center project to ease the pressure?
I agree with you, Jojo. Why can't we just do it? Jojo, thank you so much. I wish we had all day to speak about this, but unfortunately, time is not on our side. But a very big thank you for joining us this morning. Our railway sector, something must be done about it. Hopefully next week, we'll be able to get the authorities in studio to speak to this issue. We need answers because we are paying taxpayers' money. It's not easy. So we need answers. It will definitely ease the stress on transportation fares. It will ease the stress on food cost. We need something to be done about it. Hopefully the authorities will join us. This has been Beyond the Headlines segment. Coming up next is Social Watch. Do stay with us.